Okay, you're live. When the counter says I've been live for a while. Okay, I've just been sitting here waiting to see the counter. I guess I should be wearing a little bit more Western wear for this video. I couldn't fit it in the title, and along with the other things, but this is actually also an unboxing video for a Bailey hat. So we're going to talk about that more in part 2. So for those of you who are, new to the channel, if you're only here for that, you can scroll ahead because we're only in part 1 now. Whatever that means. Sometimes it's a little more of a concrete phenomenon than others. A lot of people have only been tuning into mostly my boot content, so the hat content is not entirely new, but I've been doing a lot of it lately. So recently I did a video of episode 323 of Dorfman Pacific versus Henschel hats. And then I had done a similar video about more like Stetson hats and some other things. So like this is a Henschel hat that just happens to match my shirt. And this is the one I was wearing earlier that it's a little bit warm for this now, this time of year. So kind of cutting to the chase a little bit. I mean, there's some overlap with these companies. Like Stetson is usually considered one of the more elite prestige brands or whatever, but they do still have, more budget wool felt offerings like these that aren't their fur felt items. And so these are more similar in quality to what are kind of the higher end Scala or Scala models, and not all, but some of the Bailey models. Now, some of the Bailey models, we'll get into this again more in part 2, are, trying to compete maybe with Stetson, and also Resistol, but probably would be more of a head-to-head video with Cody James for some of it if I was going to do it that way. Trying to do more of a one-to-one comparison. I'm not sure what kind of range Bailey has as much as Scala or Scala. Stetson has an okay range, but again, they're more known for more premium Western wear hats. I used to see Bailey quite a bit in Boot Barn, and I don't know if they've replaced that almost entirely with Cody James because that's their brand. And I have, like, when I first started going to Boot Barn, I wasn't buying Cody James. I could show some of the, the ones in previous videos. In fact, I'm not going to list all the episodes again like I did in the previous video because there's too many. But Cody James, I just did the video 296. And then before that was the Justin video 294. But before that, I did a more updated felt cowboy hat rundown 293. And I keep meaning to do kind of a part 2 of that, and then I kind of keep getting sidetracked because it doesn't quite fit in with the other stuff. So I might include some of that in part 2, but that's more about Stetson hats overall. So a little bit. So look forward to that soon, but not immediately because nobody's watched that other video yet anyway. I mean, 60 views, not the worst, but it's not exactly taking the world by storm. So let's let people watch that one a bit, and if they have any questions and stuff, then we'll get around to that other video eventually. But I think I found that more people like more brand-specific kind of videos anyway. So these head-to-heads, I think, are kind of useful, but not 100% because, again, you're kind of going to grab, if you're going into a place, you're kind of going to grab what fits that, is there, that's in your price range-ish. Like, for example, fans of the channel will recognize, of course, this MHT hat, which is not the same quality as my other MHT hat. And it's not the in vogue style of, it's more of the pinch front crown instead of the cattleman crease, which is similar but not the same as this. This is also a pinch front, but literally sitting right next to me. The familiar cattleman crease. So again, we'll get more into this into part 2, but this is a Resistol straw hat, so not a Scala nor a Bailey. And or Scala, or what they offer that is similar to that, I don't know, but this is like a 1X felt, not a super super high quality one. So again, they all have kind of their range. So initially, and I didn't bring in every single hat that I own because I have a bunch and I don't know which ones are which, and I have some kind of heritage-y ones and things that are similar to the Scala ones or the Scala ones or Scala. I guess there's a third way to pronounce an A. But I do have some nicer ones that are kind of like this. Now, as I explained in the previous video, the Henschel versus the Dorfman Pacific, for the longest time, I thought Scala and Dorfman Pacific are the same company. They might be. I don't know. They seem to both be serviced by Amazon now. I don't know if one's a division or the other, or if they're direct competitors. But I was buying a lot of these thinking they were the same company, just different types of hats. And so again, this being slightly different than what I usually get too. So if you want to hear more about this hat and why I think it's overpriced, you check out that video. Whereas stuff like this old kind of Archie bunker kind of stuff, don't find many brands trying to replicate this, but this is not the exact same kind of tweed hat that you get from a more prestige, UK company or whatever. This one does, however, say, 35% wool, 50% acrylic, 15% nylon. So it's not 100% wool. And I've showed it before, and all that, but it looks pretty close. So if you're, it's kind of costumey, but not terrible, but it's also a stingy brim. If you're more on the market for an indie hat, an Indiana Jones style hat, I think a lot of the ones marketed, but I don't know about the branded indie ones. I do have one, and I didn't bring it because I don't know who makes it. But it could be the same brand. Don't know. But yeah, so anything that's kind of trad headwear, that's kind of throwbacky, kind of retro. I have some Homburg ones too, and I'm not, or at least one, and I'm not sure who makes that one. I should have dug that one up probably and double checked. But I did a video a long time ago about all of these, or most of these. So again, so you have this one that I wanted to wear this winter, but I just couldn't get the brim to snap back down. See, and that's the problem with these packable hats compared to the more true felt ones where they're more rigid. Now, again, this is likely a wool felt still. It's not super high quality. It's not going to be a lot of fur, but it doesn't have this smushy packable characteristic going on, right? So again, kind of a Bogart, film noir look, kind of indie boards the plain look, the slightly different hat that Indiana Jones wears in that one scene. A hat that I've had for a while, but it just won't cooperate, and I don't want it to have this turned up brim. That's not the look that we want. And so we can turn it down, but it fights with us, right? The wire, maybe eventually it will stay put and be good and do what it's supposed to. So yeah, but so hats like, well, they've gone up in price now. I'm not sure all the pricing anymore. I mean, hats like this were going for in between like the $40 and $80 range. Probably double that now. Again, I showed this one before, same brand. But this is the real coconut palm. This one, again, I can snap the brim down if I want to wear it more like bluesman, or you can pop it up and be ska reggae islands guy, right? Stuart Copeland or Sting or whoever, doing the thing where they're doing the Three Stooges bit or whatever in the video. Every little thing, yeah. She turned me on. Try not to put it backwards. But. So again, options. But this is a nice summer hat, and of course my favorite one that has given me some grief and started to fall apart because I wear this one pretty often. But also the Scala and the real coconut palm. Again, I probably overpaid for these when I first got them. Why can't I get the thing to focus? Oh, it doesn't say coconut on the inside of this one. It only says that. This one says coconut. Yeah. Why it doesn't say genuine coconut on this one, I don't know. But they both are. Yeah. But this one's falling apart. And yeah, at the time, I think I overspent on these. Was like, oh my God, I spent $100 on hats. What was I thinking? And of course, I've had them for many years now and only lost one so far. But last summer, I couldn't find this one at all to wear. So I was a little bit upset that I couldn't find it. But so there is a range, like I said, of between, you know, fake wool and real coconut within the brand. And then, of course, real wool felt, like I said, with the ribbon and all that. Not quite a true screen accurate indie hat, but you could get away with it. So similar to that, though, of course, I've showed these before. Now, these are not branded. That's why I didn't get all of them, because a lot of them, like this one came from Orvis, and it just says light felt. Well, I didn't realize until about a week ago that these ones that say light felt are, this one says American Made Matters. I don't know if that's an actual company. I'm pretty sure these are Bailey hats, though, that say this light felt. Because, again, we'll talk about this again more in the cowboy hats. This one says light felt just like that. And it is a Bailey and a Dawson version from whenever that was. And also, this one says Renegade or something, but doesn't say a brand. Oh, this one doesn't say light felt, though. So I don't know if this is a Bailey or not. Okay, so forget this one for now. But we're going to talk about him in a minute when we get to part 2, when we talk about color. That'll be a little more on. So yeah, a bunch of the hats that I was showing recently in the sun hats video and all that, when I was talking about the Stetsons. And a little bit when I was talking about the Tri-City, the episode 319, more so than some of the other ones. And then Stetson travel hats, episode 313, a little more on this topic. And then again in the Borges and Scott video, episode 305, where I compare I forget what all I talk about in that video, because totally different brand, but somewhat comparable to these Bailey light felt ones. Your prices may vary, though. Again, they're all kind of competitively priced, I guess. But it was a little harder to track down the Borges and Scott sizes correctly because they were all mislabeled on Amazon. Whereas most of these run pretty true to size, and they come in like small, medium, large. They're not fitted. Like almost none of these will be fitted hats, right? So again, I have another light felt that came labeled as Duluth, which I'm pretty sure is Bailey, and which I was wearing kind of often, you know, earlier in the year, about a month ago or whatever, for the March Irish look. And then this one that I've been wearing lately, again, also pretty sure is Duluth, which I've been wearing on screen a fair amount, versus, again, my original indie hat, which again is the Scala or whatever that I picked up at the Army Navy store. And of course, which this is meant to be a less expensive facsimile of this, but the prices of these are now almost what I paid for these or more, you know, 12 years ago or 15 years ago or whatever. So there goes that. But yeah, this is definitely not the same hat, even though this is still a packable, crushable wool felt. Nobody's going to see this and automatically say indie, whereas even though this is the wrong color, the wrong hat band, the wrong, you know, not quite the wrong brim shape, but definitely the wrong front pinch, not the right crown height, everyone's going to see this and say indie hat. These, again, are meant to look like indie hats-ish now, or the popularity made these, you know, accessible or whatever, even though fedora hats have been around, obviously, since before Raiders of the Lost Ark, the movie, you know. Since hats were out of vogue for so long, now almost any hat is an indie hat, right? If it's got the brim, which again, fans of this channel will recognize my other Bailey hat that's even more aggressively shaped than an indie hat. It is a little bit small on me, but now we're talking the stiff brim again. So we'll discuss this again more in part 2 when we come back to that. But again, more of a chocolate color. This one is really green until you put it next to something brown. That's what I've also been happy to show lately, even though the lighting in here is terrible and doesn't show the hats as well as I would like. So those 2 Stetson ones I showed were both green-ish. This is green-ish. So, there is that. Okay, so then what happened? Oh, so Easter egg. This was Dorfman Pacific. I thought this was Scala when I ordered it. Scala. Turns out it's not. It's Dorfman. So this one didn't get in the last video when it should have. But the post office absolutely frickin' tried to destroy this baby. And you can see the box that came. Trying to show off the labels and stuff. Yeah, so this is how the box came. And surprisingly, the hat on the bottom looks better than the hat on the top. Figure that one out. Now, I wasn't going to buy one of these type of hats, but I did. So, but we're going to save that for now. But it is another Scala. But so this one, just to point it out, slightly different than the felt, slightly different than a lot of the other straw ones that, again, I've shown in other videos. I have a real Panama one, but I don't like the fit of it that much, which are made in Ecuador, by the way. But this is similar in concept to a straw Panama hat, but it's actually hemp. So it has that light weave. You can see through it. So this will be a nice summer hat. So even though I already bought like 6 other hats, like that one that I threw over there, wherever it went, and the mesh breezer ones, like I said, the Dorfman Pacific has almost no hats that are more like this now. Henschel still has a bit more, but like I said, like this one, I think a lot of them are overpriced. Some of them were similar to this, but they're going to be a heavier canvas, and I'm not going to wear them as much in summer as probably autumn. We'll see. And then, now I did throw it away. Something like this. Whoops. Late autumn through winter. I'm almost never wearing this. Like I said, I was wearing that similar Stetson one this morning, and I was already sweating in it. So we're pretty much done with this already for the year. But, you know, the basic brim shape and all that, you know, they're all kind of the same. None of them are quite, like I always complain about Indiana Jones's, they're not really quite broad enough for a true adventure hat. Even though everybody associates indie hats with adventure now, it's like, yeah, but that's the wrong hat. That's more for tooling around, you know, Cairo in your Jeep or whatever than actually trekking through the jungle and such, where you'd be sweating to death and or, you know, wishing you had more coverage for your nose and the back of your neck and your ears and all that. Which, again, is part of the reason why I don't like a lot of taco-shaped cowboy hats. We'll get back to that in part 2. So anyway, so not either of these 2 brands, but an option for those of you who need an Easter egg because you didn't watch the other video yet. Or hat that's not in the other video anyway, because all the nylon ones and the cotton ones and the da-da-da-da-da made it in the other video. Okay, so which bag was which? Doesn't matter. This bag was this. I think that bag was that. Was this bag? I hope. I remember. I don't know. Because I don't want them getting dust when I keep tossing them inside. They're not all going straight on the floor. So similarly, this has been here for a couple days now, waiting for this video. So a little clutter. But yeah, similar to what I was saying with the real Panama hats. And again, this is a Scala, so they do offer this true straw stuff. This one fits a little better. Then the other one that I got from Orvis. So I do have some other straw ones. This one still has the cardboard in it. But something like this, I want to wear something like this in the summer a bit, but it doesn't have ventilation in the crown. And I want to keep something like this nice for, if I'm going night on the towny kind of thing. This is going to look a little better than even this or the other hemp one that I just tossed over there, which of course I didn't even have until yesterday anyway. But this one, the brim got a little messed up even in the box. That's kind of the annoying thing with straw. I don't know how much you can steam these. So they're not always in perfect shape, even if you don't abuse them and stack them with 5 other hats. Like, I literally just took this out of that box. You saw me take it out of that box, and it's already like tweaked. Same with the Stetson one where the brim was a little cockeyed. I have to, and that was the Easter egg in the episode 319, the Tri-City video. So hidden from regular sight. So if you're really interested in the Stetson kind of version of this or a similar, but that one made in Mexico, not this one still has the card, but this is an okay fit. And I don't necessarily care for black here though, because I don't wear black much in the warmer months, like at all ever. Although I do have some Hawaiian shirts and things that can be black or have black in them or whatever. So I guess whatever. Yeah, a little bit of a floral thing might look a little less, I don't know, Havana, Cubana, Scarface connection or whatever, and a little more tropical fun in the sun intent. I don't know. But still, yeah. Again, what Bailey offers that's similar to this, I don't know, because I probably don't have any Bailey ones that are like this. Again, like I said, I would have thought Bailey overall being a little more of a Western brand overall. Possibly. And so then, like I said, I didn't bring in every single hat ever because I have just way too many. Okay, good. And we're not quite at part 2 yet, but so I finally got one of these. I was talking about this with my friend last year, and he was saying he wanted to get one kind of more for nostalgia purposes. I kind of just wanted the same thing. I don't know if I'll ever wear this hat to actually wear it, and I didn't do an exhaustive search to see if other sellers had them for a reasonable rate or anything. I just saw this one on Amazon and said, okay, one left, great, or whatever, send it to me. Again, so it is a Scala, but it is the campaign hat, of course, made famous by Boy Scouts and Marine drill instructors and young Indiana Jones and Smokey the Bear. And the problem is, as I was explaining, it has this really round crown and almost nobody has that round of a head. So I don't know how you're supposed to make this actually fit. And this one doesn't quite fit, but again, I don't think a smaller size would be accurate. I don't know if I can get it steamed and that'll help, or leave it in the dryer and hope it shrinks a little, but not so much that it's uncomfortable, because it's the right size, but not quite the right fit, which is, the problem we're having over and over. And I don't know, figure out what to do with this, or it's not in the way. But he was saying, oh, that's a real World War I vibe. Yeah. If you were doing a reenactor kind of thing, then this, but I would have a lot of trouble wearing this on a trail unless I want a lot of attention, because people already think I'm a ranger, even when I'm hiking in, again, something just like this. It doesn't scream park ranger per se, or one of the mesh breezer, which I don't have any of them in here, but they all have wider brims than that, but they don't have a heavy rigid crown. They have that mushy stuff. It doesn't look, official government-y at all. But so I did get the Ranger hat finally. That will probably hang on my wall. Maybe I'll find a spot here somewhere. Redo that eventually. I don't know. But again, so like I said, this brand being one, so technically an unboxing of this too. For several decades, we have been dedicated to fashioning fine handcrafted goods that are designed and refined for any lifestyle. Classic and timeless fashions made to last generations. Scala. When you visit our website, discover how we make our finely crafted products. Didn't bother doing that, but got this off Amazon. Explore the history of hats. Learn how to pack and care for your headwear and become part of the Scala story. Okay, well, I've already been part of the Scala story for several years. But this one says 100% wool and pepper bell. Trying to read it backwards. And the name, oops, wrong side. The name, and of course the bow in the back with the tag. And I don't know what it says on the tag. It's shiny. I don't know if I can read it in this light. Oh, it's microscopic. That is. I don't have terrible vision, but that I cannot read that without a magnifying glass. Okay. I assume this is a leather band. I don't know. This side of the tag is shiny, but it's not lined. It's just felt. And again, I'm pretty sure it's wool felt. I really can't read this tag. If anybody really wants to know what's in the tag, I'll put it in the comments later if you ask. Otherwise, I'll forget all about it and go on and do something else. Again, so that, like I said, being the kind of a I don't know, what do you call it, vanity purchase or something? It's not really vanity in the expensive sense. Like I said, there might be better versions of this that exist. I almost bought one of the like highway patrol ones off of Sportsman's Guide before, and then was just like, same thing. It's not a truly authentic Smokey the Bear one looking, and it's not something I want to wear on a hiking trail where everybody's going to be like, ask me, you know, mostly dumb questions more than they already do about the flora and fauna or the conditions or the this or the that, or have I seen any bears? Not lately. Lucky you. Whatever. So I guess that brings us to part two. I mean, we're not really making a value judgment so far. Like I said, I can't say necessarily one brand is better than the other. Although, like I said, I think Bailey has a little bit more high-end stuff than Scala, but I think Scala has a pretty wide variety. So I have a lot of their hats, it seems like. And I think most of them have been decent overall. I think overall that's probably my most consistent hat brand-ish, right? I mean, I'm wearing one right now. And again, the Bailey, the fitted one, wrong size, so that wasn't their fault, but they discontinued this model that I really like. So kind of bring it back. Maybe I'll buy another one, you know, or I'll have to get a different one reshaped to look more like it. I was thinking about that yesterday, how it might be more cost effective if you're only doing for more costume purposes. Again, skip this light felt stuff, but get a $100 or less Cody James or like this MHT one, and you know, you could trim the brim and repinch the crown for probably a lot less money than a $300+ Indiana Jones hat that's still going to look more like an Indiana Jones hat than this. But again, for less price, you can just get one of this kind, and maybe in a more chocolate color, because I think Scala changed their colors. I think the brown that they offer now is a darker brown than this. Because that other hat that I drew somewhere or showed in one of the other videos, I thought, I don't know, I thought maybe I'm remembering wrong. Maybe it was the Bailey one. But obviously this is brown. again, when I put the green one next to the brown one, with the glare on the camera, this time, in this case, you can't really tell. But if you look at it in front of you, you can see this is more brown and this is not as brown. It's reading lighter, but it's still more brown. I don't know how to fix it. But this was called moss or something, maybe on the thing, as opposed to the other one that they called brown. I don't remember. Anyway, so that's a sidetrack before we get to the actual Bailey hat, which I was about to do. For real. Okay, so this one, like I said, just Bailey, shows a spur, shows a bucking Bronco. I ordered true to size. I didn't try to mess around because, again, I have that one in a size 7, so I assume 7 1/8 should be correct in Bailey, even if it's not correct in Stetson. Stetson being the brand so far that has been the most not correct size. Now, I wanted, again, both of these being, I assume, Bailey. For those of you who've been watching for a while, I wanted something that was a true chocolate. That's how I ended up with the 2 Cody James hats, because this was the one I had forever and ever and ever. It was not correct. And every time I bought an inexpensive hat, it was always too more close to this color than, again, same brand, I assume, but way different color, right? Way more chocolate than mocha or whatever. Okay. So fine. So I ended up with this color and those other 2, which are kind of similar to this color. And finally got brown hats. And again, I already have 2 black hats, both from this brand, and a Wrangler one that I bashed into more of a Crocodile Dundee shape, which, again, that was pretty recent. That video was episode 310, and then I discussed the issues of that with the other hat and the other kind of almost mocha one that I have from Western Express in episode 322, which was just a silly thing that I posted on Facebook that I wasn't going to post on YouTube, and then I decided to post it on YouTube anyway. So I was trying to get a lighter brown hat that wasn't total chocolate that I could wear more in this season or late summer-ish. And I already had this one, but again, this is just not a real cowboy hat. And I already have this, which again is a resistol. This one in the Justin, same problem. The 7s are a tiny bit too small, and the 7 1/8 are way too big. So this one, but this in a cattleman crease. So this doesn't say indie to anybody. This says cowboy to everybody, even though the cattleman crease has kind of not always been the default. And like I said, I think it came from Aussie military more than it came from Americana Old West. But so anyway, I had ordered the Stetson episode 316 and was dismayed to find out, of course, that it was this color. If you can see that. I can't see it on my screen because I've got the Stetson here. And then I tried to buy the Resistol and the Ceratelli. Neither of those fit. Neither of those was quite the right color. That was episode 318. I kind of did a head-to-head of them. Like I said, I don't know that Ceratelli and Cody James are quite on the same level. Ceratelli might be a little bit better, but I guess they're the same company, just a separate division. Again, I might compete the Bailey more with the Cody James than with the Ceratelli or even the Stetson. But the Stetsons, and then I got the Seminole episode 321, also in the wrong color. Again, Bailey's going to have some stuff that's trying to compete with Stetson. And from what I've seen of the quality control, maybe that's why I ordered this one, because this one was actually more. The Stetson 4X or whatever, since I already had the other 4X, was $180. This one was $200, but this one they offered a coupon, so it was like a 10% off or whatever it was, and that brought the price down to the same price as the Stetson. So I was like, okay, no brainer. This one had slightly different dimensions. The crown is not as tall, and some other thing. Cut to the chase, it's more of a tan beige. I don't know if it's the exact color that I wanted. They had a couple different colors, and there was no way to kind of judge without getting them here, and I wasn't going to order 3 hats. So this is the fawn. That's the more yellowish one. Then there was pecan, which is a more of a grayish tan, I think. So I went with this because I have a lot more kind of yellowish khaki kind of stuff than like straight up beige. I have a lot of straight up beige clothing that is not cowboy clothing. It's you know, it's beachy, nautical kind of stuff. So I didn't necessarily want that more stark look. So this was the default. So let's just see the box a second. So there's the box. No big mystery. It's a nice box. Kind of a better hat support than some of the other ones that I got recently. It says worn by integrity. And like I said, I do like this hat a lot. So I said for the same price as a Stetson, I'm sure that the quality will be fine. I don't know if it's the exact same fur quality as a Stetson in a 4X or whatever. Couldn't tell you. So if I don't like the fit or whatever, and I do return it, it's going to be for a Resistol brand, which is $50 more than the money of this without the coupon or whatever. But from what I've seen of the Stetson and whatever I feel about this one, I've determined that I think the Resistol is a little bit higher overall quality than the Cody James, the Saratellis, the Stetsons, and don't know about the Baileys. It might be higher quality than the Bailey now, but if this one, like I said, fits and feels good and whatever, I don't care. I'm done. I'll worry about it next year. If it doesn't fit, though, I'm going to be, kind of annoyed. So far, I think the color is pretty close to what I wanted. Like I said, it's not maybe quite as yellowy. It's work with me, people. Again, it's definitely not this, like every other hat I keep getting stuck with. But it's not exactly this. They're close. Which is kind of what I wanted, was an upgrade of this. And then it just has the generic lazy band on band, color on color, whatever you call it. But see, this one says that matters. So what was the other one that I showed earlier that I said I was pretty sure was a Bailey? I think. So I think that confirms that, whichever hat that was. Don't recall. I don't know, somewhere over there. I'm pretty sure that was Bailey, right? Not Scala. Well, I hope that says. Am I reading this wrong? I think they sent me the wrong size. I think this is 7 1/4, not 7 1/8. I think the wrong size is in this box. It says 7 1/8 on the box. I showed you the box. And I need a magnifying glass, but I'm pretty sure that says 7 1/4. Oh, good. So they sent me the wrong size. Yeah, they sent me the wrong frickin' hat in the box. So, okay, Bailey, strike one. We'll see. We'll see if 7 1/4 fits, because 7 1/4 should be way too big on me. This being a 7 that's tight from Resistol. This being a 7 that's tight from Bailey. This being a 7 1/8 from MHT. That is my size. Oh, what do you know? It's the wrong size. They sent me the wrong hat. Guess what, Bailey? Resistol's getting my money. Anyway, so this is the part of the review where you can see it's basically shaped the same as the Stetson Skyliner or whatever, but a lower quality, less rigid felt, just slightly lower crown. I don't have that Stetson one here anymore. Sent it back. Just like this one has to go back because they done send me the wrong hat entirely. Don't know how that happened. It says on the tag here, this product complies with American Made Matters standards for made in America. Your purchase supports American jobs. Yeah, great. Americans who don't know how to put a hat in a box in the right freaking box. Worn by integrity. Well, I don't know what integrity is of having the wrong hat in the box. Kind of a joke. Okay, with this one, you know, overall, it doesn't look like a terrible hat. It's just not the hat I ordered that would actually fit. That's what I get. Yep. That's why I love having this channel, because this crap happens all the time. More often than you would think. So anyway, so yeah, now I have two Bailey hats that don't fit. One is too small and one is too big. The color's okay. They had a couple different colors. But yeah, I don't know. I might try the Resistol one instead, see how it goes. I don't know what to add to that. As usual, if you have any questions or comments, do I think that Baileys are better hats than MHTs? Well, I don't know. Maybe it would fit good if it was the right size. And if I was doing head-to-head with MHT, like I said, these other ones that are small, medium, large seem to fit fine. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to review a hat that's the wrong size. Like, it's just the wrong size. It's not even in the right box. So, but it does have a lining. It does have a little guy. Most people will probably rip that right out and not keep it in there. It's got the little bow. It's got the breathing holes, which the other ones probably don't have that. It says, what, 4X? What does that say? Angora blend, sorry. So some fur, but Angora fur. And I can't read this type on the tag. That's too small. I could barely read where it said 4, but I knew it was a 4 as soon as I saw it. I'm like, that's not an 8, that's a 4. Yeah. 100% wool. 10% rabbit, maybe? I'm not sure. 90 wool, 10% rabbit. Okay, that's what it says. I'm reading it wrong. I can barely read it with all the shine and the lettering is tiny. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I can't read the rest. It's too small. So this is what it should look like if it fit from the side. This is what it should look right from the other side. I don't know who made it this far, 40 minutes in, to find out that the stupid thing is wasting my day, wasting my time, as always. I don't know if it's too late to call them. They might be closed already. So as always, boycott Tinder. I just did a long video this morning about boycott Tinder. Let me put on the other hat. I was going to talk more about the things, but like why? I don't know. I had the same fit problem with a couple of the hats, but this one, it seems like 7 1/8 would have been the correct size. Don't know. I guess I'll never know, because like I said, if I'm buying this color again, it's probably from the other company. Yeah, boycott Tinder. Not joking. You can buy me a coffee or a pizza if you want to go to that link. I activated that. And of course, like I said, if you have any questions, you can put them in the comments. I forget the other hat that I didn't read the stuff because it's all too small to read. Same as this. Doesn't really, I mean, I'm sure it's all on the website. Last time I went to the websites and read a bunch of the stuff, but that took 10 minutes or something by itself. So I'm not going to do that again, because I covered way too many hats to read the specs of all of them, as you can tell. I mean, if we were doing one hat at a time, that would be okay, but that's just not that's just not going to happen. So thanks for tuning in and enjoy.